And now the latest on the trouble in the tropics as Hurricane Ian is gaining strength in the Gulf of Mexico, headed toward Florida. This is a live look now at Ian's track. It now appears to be north of Cuba. You can see the loop right there showing an expected landfall in the Fort Myers area as early as tomorrow.
And take a look at this video. It's from Key West. This is the southernmost point where you can see people standing, soaking up all the water, trying to make the most of what is expected to be a potentially devastating storm surge. The storm is expected to strengthen into a Category 4 storm overnight. Right now, 2.5 million people up and down the Gulf Coast are under evacuation orders. And for those in the storm's path, the time to prepare is quickly running out.
If people are told to evacuate by their local officials, please listen to them. The decision you choose to make may mean the difference between life and death.
Thousands of National Guard troops are active, along with state and federal agencies stocked with supplies, including more than 3 million meals and 3 million liters of water ready. Now, as this storm draws closer to making landfall in Florida, we, of course, are tracking it here at home.
Let's bring in the chief. She's keeping a close eye on Ian. Betsy, what are you seeing?
Well, actually, we are watching the storm re-intensify right now. It's already at Cat 3 strength, and it's continuing to grow. The key here is to watch this infrared satellite imagery. This is the heat-sensing satellite, so we can kind of differentiate between the lower-level clouds and the higher-level clouds. And that is important because the biggest thunderstorms are going to have the best intensity, and they're going to reach the highest and get the coldest cloud tops. So when we start to see new pink showing up and spiraling around, and the symmetry is holding, that's a sign that this storm is coming together and it is intensifying, and that is what is happening right now. We've also been watching the visible satellite imagery. We've been watching how those thunderstorms really start to percolate right around the eye. There is definitely more happening now than was happening even 6 hours ago as the storm was emerging off of Cuba. That was to be expected. Now, we flip it over to the National Weather Service's Doppler radar out of Key West, Florida. You can see the eye wall, the inner eye wall. There's also a second eye wall at this point, and what will happen is that second eye wall will start to come in, and it will become known as an eye wall replacement cycle. That may make the intensity wobble a little bit, but what that does is that kind of shores up the structure of this hurricane, and that is what really lines us up for landfall then. So it is a Cat 3 storm, 120-mile-per-hour sustained winds, gusts up to 150 now, as reported by the hurricane hunters, and you can see where that storm track goes. It is expected to come south of Tampa now. That is a huge deal for Tampa because the Tampa Bay will be spared the brunt of the storm surge. However, south of Tampa, down toward Fort Myers, now they are going to be dealing with this direct hit. So anywhere south of Tampa, anywhere south of Venice Beach, Florida, they're talking about the maximum potential for storm surge, and that could be upwards of 10 to maybe 12 feet at this point. Russ.
Okay, Betsy, thank you so much. Of course, keep it right here on Channel 3. The NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt picks up coverage of Hurricane Ian with crews in Tampa, Sarasota, and Havana, Cuba. Of course, that's just ahead at 6:30, right after this broadcast.